I honestly hate reviewing movies like this because I saw this a day ago. I still don't know if I like this thing or not. So join me for this journey. I'm Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
She didn't see it.
No, I didn't.
So it's gonna be one of those reviews where I explain the plot to her. But I think even if you had seen it, I'd have to explain the plot again. Because it's one of those movies where towards the end of the movie, I was looking back at the stuff at the beginning of the film and I was like, oh right, that did happen in this. It felt like I had just not seen a new Child's Play movie, but instead I had binge watched the first season of a Child's Play TV series. And like, you know when you do that and you like watch an entire TV series all at once, and when you get to the end of the season, you're looking back and it's like, oh my God, that was just like a few hours ago for me, and I can't believe that was in that episode. Oh man, I thought that this was like something completely different.
And like this
was all one thing.
And it's not even that long of a movie, is it?
No, it's an hour and a half, which is what makes it even weirder for me. Yeah, again, it feels like I watched an entire season of a Child's Play show. And no, this is like just an hour and a half. And yet towards the end of this, I was thinking to myself, oh, right, remember when Chucky was like all nice and like the scene with him beside the bed and all that? Wow. Oh my goodness. Let's go ahead and get something out of the way right now. Yes, this is a remake or a reboot or however you want to describe this of the Child's Play franchise, but it is so different because for anybody out there who has never seen the original Child's Play series, what it was about was a serial killer got cornered by the cops, so he used voodoo magic to put himself inside the body of this doll, and then the doll was given to this little kid, and then the doll started enacting revenge on all the people who like he wanted revenge on as a human being, and then towards the end he realizes if I want to become a human again, I have to put myself inside the body of the child, of whoever I told my secret to first, is what the rule was. And it was, you know, this little 6-year-old kid. And those movies scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. They were actually probably the most terrifying horror movies to me as a child.
Like, I didn't see any of the Child's Play movies, but like, just the commercials scared me.
Yeah!
It didn't help that there was also a Teddy Ruxpin commercial, so it's like, oh crap, the toys actually can come to life.
And here's the thing about it. As I was watching this remake, I went, this is like the evil Teddy Ruxpin movie. That's what this is.
Yes.
Because all that stuff about, what was I gonna say, like serial killer, voodoo magic, like all that stuff, that's all gone. That isn't in here at all.
Wow, really?
Oh, did you not know what this one's about?
No, I didn't.
No. This is, they put an AI program in these dolls, and this one goes a little bit nuts.
Oh, so it's more like Small Soldiers.
A little.
Like the AI thing, basically.
Yes, okay, yes. But basically the idea of these, I think they're just called buddy dolls in this one, because I know in the original they were good guy dolls.
Like, they were supposed to be like a parody of the My Buddy dolls back in the 80s.
Yeah, which is so weird that they just called them buddy dolls in these ones. Yeah, and this doll has this AI program in it, and man, okay. Let me go ahead and just address this right here. While I was watching this movie, it felt like one of two things happened. Either they had a script for an evil Siri program, like Siri or whatever that Amazon thing is, whatever that's called. We don't have that because I'm not going to have a talking computer in my house. I'm robophobic, I guess. Yeah, we're not going, that just is so weird to me that something is going to be listening in on everything that I say. I say as I talk into the camera full of people who I built a career around listening to everything that I say. Yeah, I don't have one of those things. But whatever that Amazon thing is that plugs into everything else in your entire house, it feels like someone had a script for one of those that goes evil. And they looked at it and they said, I don't know, starting up a new horror franchise. Ooh, what if we cram this into a pre-existing franchise, which we see that happen all the time.
Yeah.
Or what happened is that they decided to bring Child's Play back, but they looked at it and they said, well, we can't. If we're gonna bring this back, we have to change it 100%.
We gotta modernize this.
We gotta modernize it, which normally whenever somebody comes in and goes, we gotta put in what the kids are doing these days, we gotta make this something aimed at the new generation of people out there. Normally when they do that, it's complete crap. But I would actually respect them for doing that in this case. If this is the instance where they had the evil series script and they just crammed it into a Child's Play script, then screw you, man. Don't do that with pre-existing franchise. Just make a new thing. I hate that. But if this is a thing where they had this franchise that they wanted to bring back, and they decided, well, we have to change it completely, normally I would also look at that and go, well, then what's the point of making this that old thing? This is one of those few times when I can look at it and go, no, it's actually a smart idea. Because the entire thing about the original Child's Play franchise that made it terrifying wasn't so much, oh, it's a living doll. It was that actor. It was the guy who played Chucky. Mm-hmm. He is what made that franchise. It's not so much that, oh my goodness, a little doll is coming at me holding a knife. That's creepy. I mean, that's the premise of like 5 different Twilight Zone episodes. So yeah, a doll coming to life, it's creepy. There's an entire Puppet Master franchise out there that runs on that exact premise. But the idea of Chucky itself, what made it terrifying wasn't the doll coming at you. It was this crazy, like absolute nut job. It was this psychopath. Mm-hmm. This guy who, not so much that it was a serial killer, it was that the actor played a complete nut job. It's when Chucky would spin his head around and just start screaming at you and just yelling out all these profanities, just all that. That's terrifying! But you can't do that again because it's not going to be that actor again. You can't get another actor to come in here and go, well, just try and top that guy. You're not going to do it. We're all going to look at that and instantly compare it to the last guy. What they did here, if they came in and said, we want to modernize this, we want to change it up, they basically created a Child's Play where I can't do that. This Child's Play is so different, I cannot look at and compare it to the old ones. I have to judge it as its own thing. And honestly, that's kind of smart, I guess. I mean, we've seen many times where they have tried to do that with the reboots, where it's like, well, make it completely different. Well, then what's the point of doing that? There's actually a point to doing it with this one. Because there's no way that going with the old premise, you were going to be able to top the original on this one. It was the specific personality of that actor that made that franchise. Oh, okay, this is something totally different, and I now judge it as something different. And judging it as something different, I don't know how I feel about this. This is a weird movie. Because as I said, so many things happen within the span of like an hour and a half. And some of it's good, and then some of it just feels like, oh, screw you, man. This is just stupid. Because there comes a moment in here where it starts off as just, this Chucky doll, this Buddy doll. And he's getting a little bit too attached to his owner, to his kid. No, if I can't play with you, then no one can play with you. And you saw Brigsby Bear, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Mark Hamill just doing Brigsby Bear again, which when he got cast as Chucky, my entire feed was like, oh yeah, he plays a great villain because he was the Joker for so many years. And I thought that at first too, but then it slowly dawned on me. He's playing a killer doll, Brigsby Bear. The voice he did for Brigsby Bear, yeah, that is perfect for this remake of Chucky. Yeah, he just does the Brigsby Bear voice the entire time, and it is perfect for Chucky. Yeah, that's one thing that I gotta give him right off the bat. Mark Hamill was a good grab for what they want to do with this version of Chucky. Mm-hmm. But as the movie goes along, I'll get a little bit more into the plot in a second, but it goes from being, oh, I'm just a doll with an AI program on board, to it being about how the company that makes the doll also makes, it's basically Amazon. They make this, they make that. They have drones that they control. They also have Uber is in their pocket, and they've got self-driving cars. And Chucky eventually gets worked on, and he gets all these upgrades so he can now connect to and control all the things that are owned by this company. And as I said, it's Amazon. They just own everything. And that's the moment when this movie went from, okay, I actually kind of dig what you're doing here. It is different. It's not succeeding at all times, but I can judge this as its own thing, and it succeeds well enough on its own. And then when it got to that, it just felt like such a different movie that's when it gets to that point where it feels like, oh, you just had a completely different script that you just shoved in here. Or you just we're talking to your, God, I need to know what that thing is. You were talking to your little Amazon box.
Was it Alexia?
That's it, Alexa. Thank God. That was going to bug me for the rest of this review. And someone is screaming it in the comments right now. It's Alexa, you asshole. Yeah, Alexa. Thank God. Man, that was going to bug me. So, it's either that Okay, sorry. As I said, when it got to that point where he basically just became Alexa Goes Evil, it felt like such a different movie. And I was completely out of it. So the movie just lost me so hard at that moment. But then, it all comes around at the end of this thing, and it comes around in a way that, again, only really works with the whole evil Alexa thing, but they actually make it also fit with the killer doll gets obsessed kind of thing. And it's all aimed at this one big climax that's kind of the perfect place and perfect setting to have a big climax like this. And it won me back there at the end. It's so bizarre, the roller coaster that I went on with this movie. Because, yeah, you spend the beginning of this movie just going like, oh, this isn't Chucky. This doesn't have the charm of the original Child's Play. This is something completely different. Why are you doing this with this? And then it gets so different that you no longer even ask that question and you judge it as its own thing. It's like, all right, this actually is a decent slasher film at this point. And then they bring in the evil Alexa side of it, and it just becomes something completely different. It feels like a totally different movie. It doesn't fit at all. It's really a shame. And then they make it work at the very end.
Like, it's basically like a bunch of ideas that kind of not quite fit together, but only in some places.
It is a fruitcake, is what it is. It is a fruitcake slasher film, is what this is. I don't know why I compare everything to food. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's kind of just like, I don't know, that we got some of this, we got some of that, just churn it all together, bam, you got your Child's Play film. But it's like, fruitcake is not all that bad. I know it gets a bad name, but hey man, sometimes fruitcake's all right. Sometimes this movie is all right. So, as I was watching this, and when it got to the very end of this movie, I think one of the reasons why it won me back is that I realized this is an 80s slasher film. It's even more of an 80s slasher film than the original film, which was an 80s slasher film. Because...
And like, this takes place in present day.
Takes place in present day,
okay.
Yes.
That was one thing I wanted to ask about because, like I said, like, you know, this is based off the My Buddy dolls, which was a thing from the 80s.
That is one thing that doesn't really work in here, is that they've got people obsessed over these Buddy dolls. I don't think anybody would be that obsessed over these
I mean,
things.
like, if this came out, like, around the same time as, like, Tickle Me Elmo or something like that, but, like...
That's the thing I had to keep telling myself over and over again in my head. It's like, well, Tickle Me Elmo wasn't that long ago, and I remind myself, yeah, it was that long ago. But I'm sure there are those toys every single year that we just don't pay attention to.
No,
that's
because we don't really have any kids.
Yeah,
so.
we don't have kids, and... Man, I know that I'm a big geek, so everybody thinks, oh, you're really into toys. I really only get toys to be stuff on the shelf that I use as props in some of my videos.
Yeah, we don't really...
We don't really collect toys. I've gotten to that point where I'm going all digital. If I could just give up physical things, like if I could just have a big white room that I live in, and then a virtual reality set that I put on my head, and just fill the room up with all the cool stuff I want, I'd do it. I'd do it in a second. It would make moving so much easier.
Yeah, we mostly like collect figures, which is not something that little kids would play with.
Yeah, like I occasionally like, if there's like a statue or something that I like, I'll do that one, but the statue isn't gonna come to life and try and kill me in my sleep. But there came a moment in which I realized this is like an 80s slasher film, and I don't mean like the good ones. But that doesn't mean that if it wasn't good, it was bad. And
like those B-rated movies?
It is a B horror film, is exactly what I was about to say. Because when you think about the original Child's Play, you're like, yeah, that was an 80s slasher film. Yeah, but it also has a plot that goes from A to B. You can follow it. It still holds up to this day. I'm talking like Chopping Mall. I'm talking like Sleepaway Camp. Which Sleepaway Camp I think might have been in the 70s, actually. But I'm talking like Silent Night, Deadly Night. I'm talking about all these old B horror films from the 80s. I'm not even getting obscure. Those are like the mainstream ones. But it reminded me of all those ones that when I was a kid, I would check them out because they would be at the Blockbuster in a crappy old VHS tape. It would have the bad lines going up and down, the gradients and everything. Like the tape would skip on. But you know what? Those films had a charm to them. And there came a moment in here in which I was watching this going, this has that 80s movie charm. And yeah, there comes that moment where it completely loses me because it just becomes something completely different. A lot of those 80s slasher films kind of do the same. And at the end of this thing, I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end, but it literally becomes Chopping Mall. Like one of the goofiest 80s slasher films of all time. it just stops being child's play and it just becomes that. So I looked at this and I thought, you know what? I might have problems with this thing. But when I was a kid and I was getting into horror, if I had rented this exact movie from a Blockbuster Video, or not even Blockbuster Video, because they wouldn't carry shit like this, like one of those local guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I got to college, there was this rundown mom and pop VHS only rental store, and this was when DVDs were coming and everything. Didn't even have like a sign out front. It just said VHS rentals. That was an entire sign. This is the kind of shit that I would find there. And yeah, this felt like one of those. And I'm not saying those movies were good, but they had that charm to them. They had that stuff to them that made them special in their own way. And that's kind of how I felt towards the end of this movie. I kind of got that charm again. So is this a good movie? It's all right. It's passable. It's actually got some humor to it. It's got some heart to it, but not like cheesy, forced heart. For example, I haven't talked about this, but the mom in here is played by Aubrey Plaza. And when I heard that, I was like, how on earth is Aubrey Plaza going to play a mom? Aubrey Plaza is known for playing the character who doesn't give a crap. She plays that beaten down mom. She plays that mom who she's just tired. Mm-hmm. She's just tired. She comes home and the kid hasn't done what they were told to do. And they just go, what? Kid, you're killing me over here. You're killing me, all right? Yeah, I know that. I know those moms. And those moms are very real. But they still love their kid. And I got that from this. And that's the kind of heart that this movie has. You get that sense that, like, yeah, people do care about each other, but kind of that realistic, like, we're all just tired and exhausted kind of way. And I do like some of the characters in here. Like, he's got this set of friends. How many times have I said like in this video? He's got this set of friends. And at first they're all kind of like the bad kids in town, sort of bad influence people. Mm-hmm. There's even this cop in there who I'll get to him in a second, and he warns them there's a lot of bad influences around here. And he starts hanging out with him. And you can tell at first they're hanging out with him because he's got this buddy doll that can do stuff that other buddy dolls can't. And they're impressed by that. Oh, shoot, man, did it just say that? It's not supposed to say stuff like that. Yeah, it kind of does whatever it wants. Your robot can do whatever it wants. So they start hanging out and bonding over that. And I kind of enjoyed that. Like, that felt like a very realistic friendship almost. We didn't bond necessarily because we had things in common. We bonded because we're kids, and you had a thing that I thought was cool. Yeah,
that's a lot. That's very similar to, like, what kids would do. Is like, they would always, like, be friends with the kid with the cool toy.
Yeah. And I got that feeling. And this kid, he's new in town. He doesn't have any friends. So you really kind of feel for him, even when you know that these people, they only like him because he has this doll. You still kind of feel for him. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So I like them. And towards the end of this, they all do kind of come together. They have to stop Chucky together. Mm-hmm. And I keep mentioning how this has that 80s movie charm to it. It feels almost like an R-rated Goonies at that point. There's this moment where they're all just going and grabbing whatever weapons they can to hunt down Chucky. It has that feeling of those kids' films in the 80s where they all have to go and stop the monsters because no one else believed the kids about this, except that, you know, this is an R-rated slasher film. As I said, it's a fruitcake movie. It's got so many different elements of different movies all crammed together, and in a weird way, it kind of works. Not great, but it does kind of work. I mentioned there's another character in here, the cop. That guy, again, you talk about how this movie does have good personality to its characters. It does have charm. The cop in here is great. He's got the best personality of any character in here, even though the moment he showed up, he had the biggest target on him. Because he shows up, he's a cop. All right, so he's going to be investigating the murders that Chucky does. He's actually charming and actually witty and clever. Okay, charming, witty guy in a slasher film. They never make it through this thing. He actually cares about Andy, the little kid here. He first runs into Andy while he's out in the hall because his mom's like, why don't you go outside and play with those kids? Yeah, I'll go outside. And then he just hangs out in the hall. He doesn't want to go outside. The cop sees him. Hey, man, you ever want to talk about something? Like, he actually cares about Andy. Okay, strike three. You actually care about the little kid protagonist. And for the first 45 minutes of this movie, he's the only black character in a slasher film. Oh. I'd like to say that horror movies have come a long way, but they still really haven't.
There are some tropes.
There are still, like, some of those times where it's like, man, we know that you're going to do this because you're a slasher film, and don't do that. Be better than this. Oh, you're not going to be better than this, are you? So yeah, the entire time that guy was on screen, I just looked at him going, he's gonna die. He's gonna die. I should not get attached to this guy. But I can't help it. He's actually kind of a cool character. I actually do like this guy. I do get attached to him. Pete is our little Chucky. Pete is like, why haven't you played with me? That's another thing. You even kind of care about Chucky a little bit, because when Chucky is saying, is it playtime now? Do you want to sing the Buddy song? But then you see that he is actually there for Andy when Andy doesn't have any friends. But the closer that Andy gets to the other friends in his life,
he starts getting jealous.
But also, and this is a nice little twist that I like that this film did on. And by the way, I know that I've been all over the place in this review. This movie is all over the place.
I figured that much.
So it kind of fits. This is another nice little twist that I like in this. I thought it was going to be, Andy doesn't want to be friends with me. I can't let you do that, Andy. Just goes into full HAL 9000 mode. Yes, hi, Peach. The reason why he kind of starts going nuts is because the kids just mess him up so much. You look at this doll, and yeah, he seems creepy, but you can kind of look at him and be like, you know what? If he had just been taught to not do this stuff, maybe it would have been okay. But the kids he's showing him to, yeah, they are bad influences. They're literally what the cops said they were, because they're teaching this doll how to like stab things with a knife because they think that would be cool to like videotape that and put it online. They're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and they're just like, yeah, take that, bitch. And then Chucky is watching them watch this, and then he just goes, and then he walks into the kitchen, grabs a knife, and walks out. Take that, bitch. Take that, bitch. And then, like, Chucky, what are you doing? What are you doing? I thought it would make you laugh. I thought you liked this. Yeah, it is kind of a nice twist that it's not just the AI goes insane, but the AI learns from really shitty kids. Yeah, I enjoyed that part of it. This is a film where it's not like you're gonna get really emotional over anything, but it's not like most other slasher films where you just don't give a crap about anyone. You kind of do give a crap about everyone in here. There's really only one guy in here who you hate, and you're supposed to hate him, but he's the guy who you know Chucky is going to kill. But he's meant to be the guy that Chucky kills that makes you go, oh, Chucky's gone too far. Peach, you really want to lick my hands, don't you? Nope, you're done. All right. So it kind of works for that. And also, I'm not one of those guys who in slasher films really cares about how good the kill is. The kill for this guy is really damn good. And after that, man, by the way, I'm sorry if anybody thinks that was a spoiler that I just said that this guy dies, but it's obvious from the start, I felt. God, Peach, you just want attention so bad. Why are you talking to people online, Aaron? Why won't you pay attention to me? We pay attention to you all day, Peach. I'm just gonna have a conversation with the dog for the entire rest of this video. But yeah, the kill in there, again, that's kind of the moment where I started to realize this is a B-80s horror film. Because this is the type of kill that you would only see in those B-80 horror films. From setup to the setting of it, to the angles it's shot at, to how many gears go into place to make this thing happen. And yeah, if you are in that audience, if this is the kind of thing that you like, if you miss those old corny B horror films, this is right up your alley, I feel. So let's see, score-wise. Score-wise? I'm gonna give this a 6.5. I was gonna give it a 6, but the more I talk about this, the more I realize, yeah, it really is just aimed at that audience, and there aren't many films out there that do that these days. There aren't many B corny slasher films out there these days that just go nuts, and there's an audience for that, so I'm gonna bump it up to 6.5. It's not a movie that you have to see in theaters, but if you are looking for something new that's a horror film, say around Halloween to rent, yeah, I think this works perfectly. When this pops up on Amazon for like $3-4 to rent for the weekend, go for it. I think that this is perfect for that kind of thing. Anything else I want to say before we get into the spoiler section? No, Mark Hamill, really good in here. Everybody's actually pretty good in here. Even when they're bad in that corny 80s way that makes it kind of okay. So yeah, it's not that there's anything great in here, but it's all pretty good except for that one moment where it loses me. So like 75% of it, pretty darn good. And it's kind of like, it just drops right down. But then it wins me back there at the end. Oh my God, Peach, you are just wanting to eat our flesh today. A little cannibal dog. That's another great 80s horror film. So yeah, spoiler time in here. This is when the movie lost me. They have to get rid of...
Peach, you're so silly.
What are you doing? Yeah, they have to get rid of Chucky. So they rip out his like energy core.
Yeah.
Which it is the Tony Stark reactor core is just because of course it has to be. They throw him into the garbage chute. And throughout this entire film, they've been saying up that the guy who runs the building is kind of a weirdo creep. And he finds this buddy doll, and they're in high demand. So he goes, I can rebuild this and then sell it on eBay. So he rebuilds it, but it's not quite explained how he does this, but he rebuilds it in a way that hooks up to every other like bit of programming, bit of software that this company makes. And yeah, that's when it just becomes evil Alexa, and that's when it kind of lost me. Because Chucky now has like a glowing ET finger that he points at stuff and just starts happening. Like the cop, he doesn't live in the building, but his mom lives down the hall from them. So he comes over once a week to have dinner with his mom. And the mom says at one point, oh, Andy, you're my friend, because he teaches her how to use the Uber app on the phone. And she calls the Uber app, it shows up, the self-driving car is made by the company that makes the Chucky dolls, and then Chucky just causes her to crash. And I was looking at this going, wow, you really just wanted to make a movie about horrifying self-driving cars. Or this, it really kind of feels, man, talking about bad 80s horror films, this feels like Maximum Overdrive almost. It feels like this was a reboot of Maximum Overdrive at some point here.
I was thinking more like Gremlins because they mess with all the technology.
Okay, in a way, yeah. It is just kind of a little bit of everything just shoved into one bag.
A little bit of every like B-rated horror 80s movie just mashed together.
It really does. But that was the moment where this film really kind of lost me because it just felt like it became something completely different at that point. Also, the entire sequence of her in the car just being driven backwards. No! Let me out! It was bad. The rest of this movie, the kills are pretty darn good. That one stunk. So yeah, that entire moment in there, I think, it's like 25% of this film where it's focusing on he's the evil Alexa now. Yeah, I hated that whole segment in there. But the end of this film, and by the way, I should point this out. There is a sequence in there that I should have brought this up during the normal review, but there is something in here that I absolutely loved, in which after Chucky does his first human kill, which it's the mom's boyfriend, and you see the mom's boyfriend being a complete dick to Andy. He shoves him around. He is an asshole. It makes you want to see this guy die. Which normally in horror films, I'm like, don't make me hate the people who are going to die because then I don't feel bad if it happens. I'm not going to be scared for them. But this is an 80s B slasher film. That's kind of the point of them.
I feel like if you are going to make a horror movie, you should have at least one character that you want to see die.
Kind of, yeah. And, I mean, that's why in the 80s, you didn't care about the heroes in those slasher films. You cared about Freddy. You cared about Jason. You cared about Chucky. Because part of it was you had more attachment to them than the people that they were going after. And, yeah, this is what that's going for, and it kind of succeeds at that. But he chases this guy down, which there is a great reveal in there. My audience legitimately gasped this. This guy, he had been a complete asshole to Andy the entire time. But they put the cherry on top of the end of this, in which he gets in his car, he drives back to his home, he gets to the home, flips the sun visor down, a wedding ring falls down, puts it on, and then, Daddy, hey, look at you two kids, hey, oh, long day at work, hi, honey, how are you? Yeah, he's been cheating on his family. Just that cherry on top of, oh, Chucky, you better get him. Oh, Chucky. But he kills him, then cuts off his face, and then Andy wakes up the next morning, yawns, walks out the door. The camera proceeds to follow past the door where he walked out. He's killed in a watermelon patch. There's a watermelon with his face, like, nailed onto it. And he calls over his friends, and they're looking at this, and they're like puking at this, going, "Why is it on a watermelon? Is this symbolic? What is it? Who even is this guy?" And just the freak out sequence that they give on that is so good. And they have to figure out how to get rid of this thing, and it becomes a comedy at that point. It becomes a really dark comedy of seeing them have to dispose of this evidence. Like, they wrap it up in gift wrapping, because that's what the My Buddy doll came in. And they're walking out, but then his mom is there. "Why aren't you at school?" I had really bad diarrhea." Okay. Like, the mom just instantly buys it. Again, because the mom is like the
She's just done with everything.
Done. Whatever, kid. He walks out there with it, and she goes, "Well, what's that?" "Oh, it's for the nice lady down the hall who helped me with my homework." "Oh, let's go give it to her right now." There's this whole sequence of them having to dispose of this head. It's great dark comedy. It is if you are into gruesome dark comedy, this is a great sequence in there. But towards the end of this film, there's another moment towards the end of this, it's almost like this movie has 4 acts to it. So in the third, not fourth act of this thing that I really hated, it wasn't so much that it just became, oh, Chucky is now Alexa. It also becomes this moment where Andy knows that this Chucky doll is the one he threw away. So he's trying to tell him, "No, it's my Chucky, and he's evil. He's gonna kill us all." And then, which is kind of a thing from the original where everybody thought the kid was insane because he was saying that the doll was killing people. But in this one, Chucky is like messing with him. Chucky is doing stuff where he's taunting him, taking control of the TV, and showing him all the people he's going to kill. So then the mom walks in to find Andy screaming and hitting the TV. So yeah, they're basically just making everyone think he's gone insane. I honestly kind of hate that trope. I honestly hate when movies do that, where it's, oh, well, we gotta have the moment where everyone disbelieves him. He's telling people that a doll is killing people. Of course, they're going to disbelieve him already. You don't have to go that extra mile to make the doll fuck with him. Yeah, I honestly hate when they do stuff like that. So that was another part that lost me. But the fourth act of this movie, it takes place at the midnight release for the Buddy 2 figure. And Chucky is there. And Chucky takes control of all the other buddies and takes control of everything in the store. That is a great sequence. That is the moment it won me back. As I said, it just becomes Chopping Mall at the end. Because they're all trapped in this shopping center with these dolls that are going insane, with these robots like drones are being taken control of and attacking people. Yeah, it's really stupid, but I liked it. It's really stupid, but that's what those B-80s horror films were. And this one, like this whole sequence at the end, felt like a great tribute to that. Even the stuff I look at and think to myself, that's kind of really stupid. This is really poorly done. I think to myself about the films it's kind of paying homage to, and I go, yeah, it works. Like, this is supposed to be this big release, and we mentioned who on earth is lining up for a midnight release of a doll. There's like 20 people there. You can see front to back the end of this line. That is it. I recently started binge watching Superstore on Hulu, which is an amazing show, by the way. If you have ever worked retail, you need to watch Superstore. But I kept thinking to myself, Superstore has bigger crowds of extras in every episode of its show, and it's just a sitcom. This is a major motion picture. And for the big release of this new doll that everyone wants, I can count the number of people that are in there for this. But I don't really care because it's a really good sequence there at the end. There's a moment, man. There's a little girl there in this audience. Aubrey Plaza's boss has to dress up as the Buddy 2 and put on this big fake head. Chucky appears in the head and stabs him in the neck. Chucky also has teleporting powers in this. He can just kind of... Because the guy who was cheating on his family with Aubrey Plaza... Well, no, sorry. I lost my breath there for a second. The guy who was cheating on Aubrey Plaza, he drives, like, way out into the countryside, and Chucky is somehow there, and Chucky somehow gets back the next morning on his little tiny doll legs.
Well, maybe he controlled the Tesla cars or something.
Yeah, but this is before he had that power. So, it's one of those words, just don't quite. Chucky's just gonna be where Chucky needs to be, all right? But Chucky stabs him, and he comes out to all these kids, yay, yay! And he's there, and then he drops down on one knee in front of this little girl. It's like, ah! He takes the head off, and blood just splatters all over her. And the little girl lets out the best scream in this entire movie. Again, the thing I'm saying right now, for the people out there who are not into cheesy B-80s slasher films, you're looking at me like, you sound like a monster. There's an audience out there for that kind of stupid slasher fun. This is one of the first movies I've seen in a while that really captured it that well. Like that sequence right there is exactly the kind of thing that you would want out of those old 80s B slasher films. So yeah, the whole sequence there at the end of Chucky taking over this entire mall is great, and it's exactly the kind of thing that made me realize I now know what you were going for with this movie, and I kind of appreciate it. I kind of get it. I understand the appeal of this movie now.
So how does he get defeated?
How does he get defeated? Yes, okay. So at the end of this, his friends who had their whole, like, we turn on you moment. Like I said, this is like a 4-act movie. It's so bizarre to me. Not that that can't be done. You can do a 4 or 5. You can do a 1-act movie for all you want. You can do anything with movies that you want. It's just typically not done. So it is kind of interesting to see it done. But yeah, this is like a 4-act film, and during the 3rd act, the all is lost moment when his friend like, we think you're insane, that doll is gone, maybe you're the one who actually killed that guy. They all come back around, and they go charging in there to help him, so they're there at the mall, and they're just picking up whatever they can to try and fight off these killer dolls. And like I said, it becomes like an R-rated Goonies at that point. Man, I really did enjoy the end of this film. One of the kids, a drone comes at him, like one of those little toy ones, and then the cop runs in, shoves him out of the way, cop gets chopped in the neck. I was amazed he made it until the end of the film.
That is impressive.
Yes. But also the cop, his mom dies, and he's trying to figure out what could have done it, but there comes a moment in which Andy is able to take the present that his mom had sitting on the shelf. And the cop saw the present over there, and he was able to steal it away, throw it in the trash. They find it in the trash with the guy's head on there, and he goes, Andy gave this to, my mom is dead. Wait a second. So then the cop turns on Andy, which adds like another element there to the end, because he goes up to Andy, who is screaming out, no, it's the doll, it's not me. And he handcuffs Andy to the wall, to like this big like movable shopping display thing. Mm-hmm. When all the dolls go crazy in there. So now you got like the kids trying to fight him off. You got Andy tied up to this thing, trying to get his way to freedom. Yeah, there's so much going on in the last act of this film. It's actually kind of great. But the mom is now tied up. She's on a forklift. Not really a forklift, but one of those things that you have. Yeah. Yeah, they're like...
Yeah.
One of those cranes. So I used to work in a warehouse, and I used one of those things. I don't even know what it's called. Maybe it's the reason why I didn't work at that warehouse for long. Sorry, Peach is down here and distracted me. So she's tied up to that, and she's going to basically be hung as this thing raises up. Mm-hmm. And Chucky jumps out and is doing the whole, if I can't play with you, no one can thing. Andy ends up singing the My Buddy song to him, which causes him to have that like moment of pause. Oh, Andy, are we friends? Which earlier, when Andy had to take out his core, he started singing the Buddy song to Andy, and Andy had that moment of, oh, shoot, I don't know if I can do this. So it was actually like a nice way to bring that back around. So he throws Chucky off, he climbs up, cuts the mom's rope.
Cord, yeah.
Yeah, the cord, and then it looks like it's all over, but then Chucky jumps at him, and then he gets shot. And then you see the cop there with holding like the blood in his neck, and the cop gets he gets the big badass hero line there at the end. Then the mom gets up and like helps just destroy this thing. You see the kids breaking the doll apart outside with all the sledgehammers and stuff that they took from the store. And it ends with that moment where the head of this company says they're going to recall it, but they believe that every child out there needs a buddy. And then you see all the buddies being packed into a warehouse, and then one of their eyes turns red.
Yeah, I knew there'd be sequel bait.
Sequel bait. Literally, this entire film, they're promoting The Buddy 2. So it's kind of like this entire film was promoting a sequel. But yeah, it's the third act of this film that really won me back on this thing. Because it lost me hard when it got to the evil Alexa thing. But yeah, when I saw how they planned on using that there at the end of just an entire store filled with buddy dolls coming out, yeah, kind of won me back. The only thing they could have done to make this better was instead of making this take place at the release, at like the midnight launch of Buddy 2, this should have been on Black Friday. Mm-hmm. It really should have happened on Black Friday. Mm-hmm. And had like the Buddy doll come out on Black Friday. That would have been an even better saying, but this is really high up there too. So yeah, I really dug this film, but it's not a good film. It's an okay film, but it's got that charm that you want from a film like this. It knew exactly what it was trying to be, and I have to applaud a film that knows what it's trying to be and can pull that off so well. Because, yeah, they pulled it off very well. One other thing I will add in this, last week, I can't remember what movie we were reviewing, but I said, I can always tell when they film stuff in New York. This entire film, I was like, oh, they're in Philadelphia. They're 100% in Philadelphia. Very end, I stayed through all the credits at the end, and we'd like to thank the state of New York for letting us film here. So, apparently I don't always know when it's in New York. I know it's in Manhattan. That's what I know. Peach, you are ready to go. So we're gonna wrap up now. I can't think of anything else to say about this. If you want a good slasher film, this is actually a pretty decent slasher film. I gotta give it credit. Hey, Peach. Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, and next week come back for Annabelle 2. Or, no, wait, Annabelle 3. God damn. That's how forgettable the very first Annabelle film is. Not even the second one. The second one's actually all right. First one is terrible. But bye, everyone.
Bye.